I'm going to do this again. Talk about no struggle, no progress. This is my fourth try. No struggle, no progress. I'm going to read to you how I got that one today. By Frederick Douglass. A quote. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. So speaking of struggling, this is my fourth attempt today on YouTube here live. And I was going to talk about being eaten by a grizzly bear. But instead, because that was comical, it was something I talked to my insurance guy today. I had to tie up ends that other people didn't tie up in my business when I closed my office. And I started tying up the ends January, February, March. That's what I did. I had to contact, I think, like, I don't know, besides the real estate people, I had to tie up like 5 other vendors, at least. You know, you have your water company, which I really didn't have to worry about them too much. You have your, cable company, your phone company. Well, I have a phone consultant, so I could kind of do it with them and the cable, but he's kind of like one and the same, even though they're two different areas. Then I have my security company. Then I have my insurance, workers' comp, liability, slip and fall, content, that kind of thing. Then I had, I'm trying to think, but there was like good 6, all right. So then you have to go to the post office and change your mailing address just in case any mail it needs to be forwarded to you, that kind of thing. So I moved along, and I did everything in advance, and I did multiple checks because I'm a bit obsessive, okay, with everything, which makes good for things like this, you would think. Well, I found out that over the last 3 years, a lot of businesses that are big, like insurance companies, just to name one, okay, you have other issues with other companies that are, if they're broad spectrum, and even though you have your little agent in insurance, they may belong to another bigger organization, which was the case here. And what ended up happening was, as much as I knew I corrected everything, and I thought the agent I directly dealt with corrected, and he felt he corrected everything. What's happening is there's so much information out there and so many emails going to headquarters that what you have to do as the agent of your client, you have to follow up after you send the email. I found out from one of the head guys that I've been dealing with for over 30 years that I had to call him, and I hated to do it, but I had to do it. And he said, well, what we've been having to do is we've had to call after we send the email, and if we don't hear from a confirmation that they received the changes, we have to be proactive as agents and call that office that we thought we made the change in, that we sent the email to, and firm it up that way. And I said, oh, and he goes, that's been happening for the last 3 years that we've had to do that because we've had so much, I guess there's just so much business for that one particular big corporation. Never mind the agency. A lot of people have a corporation, and then you have little agencies that belong to the corporation. So that was going on they corrected in one area on April 25th, and here we are in August, right? So I'm wondering, where's my bill? Where's the paperwork I'm supposed to be getting? Find out that the other 3 areas didn't change my address. Only one area did. So I only got 1 piece of mail. And then the other 2 of the 3 pieces of mail that I requested, one came in 3 days ago, which should have came around July 1st, and the other one should have came around end of June, and that came. They all had the old address on it. So one came, I think, about a week ago, and one came about 3 days ago. And I was still waiting to be billed. How many people call up to say, hey, listen, you didn't bill me? But to me, I think that's for insurance. I mean, for insurance, you have to kind of be that way. So in everything you do, there's a struggle. Whether it's dismantling a section of your business to progress forward into another area of business, which what I'm doing is very progressive because I know that a lot of people are getting too old to drive to me. So now I'm just going to their homes and I'm taking care of them. That's what I'm doing. Or a lot of people are just too ill now to drive to me. And instead of putting the stress on the rest of their family members, I go to them. Or instead of stressing the doctors out when they put people on narcotics who really shouldn't be driving, I go to their home. And the doctors seem to be pretty happy about this. So when it comes to athletics, A lot of people think that running is just that, running. It's not. There's a lot more to it. When you're running and you feel, I've heard people say this to me, that they get bored. So they have to wear headphones. Well, first of all, you're not getting bored. You're getting mentally fatigued. Because running is, yes, it's physical. Yes, you're using your body weight against gravitational pull. And the taller you are, and or the more that you weigh, the harder it is to progress forward without proper body mechanics. Which is no, you know, in a sense, on a superficial level, it's really no big science. You're going to run how you're going to run, and everybody's different. You're going to move your body what works for you and what feels comfortable for you. But the more practice you put into going for that run before you run that 5,000 meter or that 10,000 meter or that marathon, then it will get smoother. And the only way it's going to get smoother is the more you do. And I'm not saying that you have to go out and run 100 miles a week, but to complete an event like a marathon, you have to get used to getting close to that distance as you get closer to the event that you're actually going to participate in. However, in fighting, that's even more of a struggle. In order to get any progress, that's a big struggle. Because then you have to decide what weight you're going to be at for that fight. That might be in, I don't know, they might plan it 3 months ahead. And then if you've never trained before, it might be 18 months ahead. And a lot of people want to rush into that. But fighting is dangerous if you're not trained properly for it. If you don't know how to block punches and kicks and elbows, depends on the type of fighting you're doing. Boxing, you still have to block. And I don't believe in cutting weight. I don't at all. And I talked to somebody about that, was it yesterday? No, it was Thursday. And we talked about the dangers of cutting a lot of weight. That's what I look at, cutting a lot of weight. It's really tough on your brain because you're dehydrating your body, but you're dehydrating your brain. And it takes your brain a lot longer time to really recapture that hydration in between weigh-ins and the day that you fight. So you have to really plan way in advance to be a fighter. Now, I'm not talking a wrestler. That's not a fighter. A wrestler's a wrestler. A grappler's a grappler. But boxing, MMA, Muay Thai, things of Kyokushin events where there's striking, there's head and body strikes. And it could just be punching, or it could be punching, elbows, knees, kicks. And everything happens very quickly. You know, sometimes it's a slower fight, but usually it happens very quickly. So there is really no progress without struggle. And our country right now is in the middle of all sorts of struggles. I mean, on the East Coast here, we're having nothing but crazy humidity and thunderstorms and rain, and we're all trying to adapt. And then in California, they're so dry that they're burning up. They're literally going on fire because they've overbuilt. That's part of the problem. There's other reasons for that. That's part of it. It might be a big part of it, actually. And then I heard yesterday that Europe was getting hit with a heat wave, and so was Japan, which kind of blew my mind. I didn't realize it was, the climate change was stretching out that far. So in order for us to get better as a society, we have to reckon with this. And that is going to be, it is already a struggle, and it will be more of a struggle in order for us to progress past this, because if we don't, we're going to end up having huge problems in this world, not just in the United States. So when you think you're struggling too much, think of it on a broad spectrum. If you're struggling in your sport, see that is a matter of course. If you get injured, that may just be a matter of course. If you get too injured, then see who your trainer is, or see who your coach is, or see what mode you're following. Is that really for you? Or are you copying what somebody else did, and maybe it's a little bit too much right now, and maybe you got to back it down a notch. Or maybe you're not eating right. So, remember, there is no progress without struggle. And struggle is not bad. Struggle is lessons and evolution of the individual and of the society. Have a great night, stay safe, and be well.